The country's most prominent economist has a message to young Australians: rent, don't buy. While addressing the National Press Club, Chris Richardson gave his advice to first home buyers who feel locked out of the property market. He says although there are elements of rental stress, renting makes a lot more sense than housing prices.
Yeah, this comes despite Deputy Prime Minister Barnaby Joyce declaring there is no housing crisis. So how bad is the situation? What are the benefits of renting? And is it really a bad time for young Australians to invest? Consumer Affairs commentator Joe Ucukalo joins us from Brisbane. Joe, why does this economist say that renting is better than buying?
Well, this is on the back of politicians talking about allowing young people access to their superannuation to buy their first home. And some are considering that this might cause further increases to property prices. So the questions are, is this responsible policy, to begin with?
So what are they saying the benefits of renting are?
Yeah, so some of the great things about renting is it gives you, usually rents are cheaper than mortgage repayments, particularly in capital cities. It gives you flexibility to move or to change your lifestyle, perhaps to reduce your days working or stop working in case you have kids. You can also try different areas. You also forego the cost of maintenance and repairs. That all sits with the homeowner. So there is plenty of benefits to renting, but you just need to sort of think about, your long-term strategy around building out an investment portfolio.
Yeah, OK, we're often told that renting is dead money. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, some people do say that, but it doesn't necessarily need to be that way. So if you consider that renting is cheaper overall than, say, mortgage repayments, you do need to do something with that money that you're, saving. So instead of spending it on discretionary items like going out or clothing, it's a good idea to start saving that money for either a house that you buy in the future or other investment options such as shares or term deposits.
But that's the thing, isn't it? A lot of people don't do that.
That's right. So that's one of the benefits of being locked into a mortgage is it's almost like forced savings. So if you do, if you are a renter, it is a great idea to start getting your saving habits up to speed and building out a track record of, buying even a few $1,000s worth of shares can grow over the long term.
Yeah, we've coined the phrase Australian dream for the better part of a century now. Is the Australian dream over?
Well, the situation we're in now is property prices are at a really high level, particularly in Sydney and Melbourne. So what Barnaby Joyce was referring to is that there's still affordable housing out in regional areas and other cities that aren't those two cities. So is it over? Not necessarily, but right now we're at a very high level in property prices. No one can say if we've peaked out or not, but it is a really good time to start on those saving habits and to start considering around your affordability, because the last thing you want to do is purchase a house at the top of the housing prices and then have some issues with affordability or perhaps the property market dropping. So that's really where the warnings are to say, are we at our peak property prices?
Yeah, so the difficulties for young people buying investment properties, so they can be renting and then maybe looking to buy an investment property?
That's right, but the current situation is the governments are really trying to review what policies they can implement to affect the housing affordability that we have in those capital cities. So one of the big things that gets debated is the negative gearing. So that's what you're referring to, Kylie. And there's a bit of uncertainty around what the future of negative gearing will look like in the 5 to 10. So that's really where it's a case of just knowing what you can afford and considering any future options around policy or interest rates as well. So we see interest rates at a really low level. What happens if they were to double? What happens to your ability to make the repayments there?
Joe, an example, I moved here 21 years ago to Sydney, and a lot of experts told me that we're on the bubble and, there's going to be a downtrend. We often hear about trends, how places like Sydney continue bucking these trends.
And actually, I'm reading there are headlines at the moment saying prices will drop next year.
Who's right, who's wrong? Is it going to change? What's the advice?
And after 21 years, are you still waiting?
I'm still waiting. What is advice to people like me?
Oh, if only we all had a crystal ball, right? And that's really where the future is uncertain, but what we do know is our economy is closely linked with what happens in China. So, and that's really where some of the warnings are. If the Chinese economy suffers, our economy will suffer. you know, they're not sure what will happen in China, and no one knows, particularly when the government over there is responsible for their policies. So it is a case of, look, you know, just try to do your best. But I guess another really good point is don't get emotional about these decisions. Don't think that, you know, there's a fear that you'll be locked out of the market forever, because perhaps your situation will change. Perhaps, you know, you'll be in a better financial position. Perhaps you'll meet that dream partner and you'll be able to pay off the mortgage together. So just make a decision based on your ability and your capacity to pay, and also what sort of lifestyle you'd like to lead. So interestingly enough, there was a survey done and that ranked what we feel is important about our money, and freedom and options ranked as number 1 and 2, and then owning our own home was number 3rd. So that's really where we still want to have that flexibility and freedom, and sometimes having a mortgage will lock you into some of those lifestyle decisions that you want to make.
Yes, mortgage, flexibility and freedom, not 3 words that go together very well.
No.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Jo.